Hello, it's Ariana here from Scale and Simplify, and in this video I'm going to show you how to create an effective sales page inside of Kartra. Now, in a previous video, if you haven't seen it yet, be sure to go check it out. I went over the structure of a sales page where we walk through the key sections of a successful and high converting sales page that you need to have. And that's from a content perspective. And now we're going to jump into Kartra and I'm going to actually show you how to create that page. So I'm just going to start a fresh page here and I'm going to work off of a template inside of Kartra. So I'm going to select long sales page. You can also start from scratch, but we're just going to work off of a template to speed things up a little bit. Okay, and I'm going to pick this one, so we're just going to click select. You can preview them and find one that is aligned with whatever content you have outlined for your sales page, just whatever feels like it most closely follows the flow of your content. And then we're going to go launch builder. We're going to give it a name. And create. All right, so now we are in, and this is the template page. So this is a shorter one than some of them, and it's also one where the sections that we had talked about in the previous video that I mentioned aren't sort of innately in here. And so just make sure that you are watching that and knowing the flow of your sales page overall, and then adding in those pieces to whatever template you're going to work with. All right, so let's say that the hero section here, it's good. We will need a headline and a little description and a button for sure here, but let's say that I don't really like the way that it's laid out and I want it to be more centered. We're going to go here to sections, hero sections, and then here there are more templates that you can pull from. And so if you look through and find one that feels more aligned with your branding and what you want to depict in this sales page, then you can simply grab that and drag it out. And then once you see that it says drop here, we're going to drop it. Okay, so now we've got our new header or hero section. I'm going to click on the little cog here and delete this one. Yes, I am sure. Okay, and so now I like this one, but we are now missing a button. So I'm going to go to components, buttons. I'm going to drag one out. And then when this turns green, I'm going to drop that here. Okay, so now we've got the big button there. You can then go in here, click on the edit pencil. And then in here, you can go into background in order to, if you click on the image selected here, you can swap out the background photo and make any changes to the padding. So this is the spacing sort of towards the top and the bottom of the section here. So I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. And I do have another tutorial too that's kind of like basics of the page builder. So be sure to look back on the last few tutorials and watch that one as well for more tips on building in general. In this video, I'm just going to show you the key things as they pertain to sales pages and making them high converting. Okay, so now we've got our header. Here you can, swap out the content. You can delete sections like I showed you. I'm going to add another section here. So I'm going to go to sections. And this is where we would have kind of our overall, we're starting with our pain points, right? And so we're going to have our high level digging into the pain points, highlighting them, introducing the concepts that we're about to provide a solution for. So in here, if you go to content, this is kind of just like general blocks is how I think about them. So you can browse. I definitely recommend just kind of browsing through all of these sections to see what's available. So I'm going to find one that I feel fits the look and feel of what I'm going for in this section. So I'm going to do a basic one where this text is just centered. Okay, close. And then this is where we can start putting in our text. If you hover over these, you can click on the pencil to edit the sort of formatting and style of the actual, this box, the text box. And that means like adjusting the margins. So you can click on the bottom one. Let's say I don't want it to be 40 points, I want it to be 20. It's going to tighten up that space. And you can also add in effects, and this goes for anything, any element on the page. You can add an effect in where you can, for example, photos, it might be nice to have them moving in from the side. So as people are scrolling down the page, it's more attention grabbing and keeping people focused on the content there. So I'm gonna close that. And then if you wanted to edit the actual text, you would click on the text editor icon. And then this bar comes up here, and this is the standard, text editing, where you can change the font, the size, and all of that. One tip I have is, for brand consistency, make sure that you are using, consistent colors throughout your sales page as well as sizes. So I always recommend kind of outlining, this is the size and font of the biggest header that's going to be on the page. This is the size and font of a subheader, and then general paragraph font. And then that way you can, as you're working through it, it can be a little bit rough in the beginning, but once you go back, you can have that checklist to make sure like, okay, this is a main header, this is a subheader, and this is the font that it's supposed to be. The other thing you can do is once you have placed all of the different sections of your sales page, like, okay, this is where the pain points are going to be, this is how I'm going to format the testimonials, this is how I'm going to format the introduction to my offer, and you've pulled in these different sections, which as templates, they have different fonts, different styles that you would need to be cleaned up afterwards if you're pulling in different ones from beyond just the template you're working off of. So one thing you can do is here under styles, once you've placed everything in, then you can go to component and select your main font to clean things up a little bit more easily. You will still need to do some editing, but this is, I'm going to click apply, and you're going to see here that it has changed these. Okay. Other things that you might need, I'm going to go to a few sections that I want to highlight. You may put a call to action section. You can also build this sort of using some of the other ones, but have a look here and see what would make most sense for your product and how you could display each of the times that you have a button, the buy button, and that covers what's inside of it. For that, you may also want to have a price table at some point, and so here towards the bottom, there are also pricing tables where you can just pick, again, whichever one feels like it's most on brand and fits with the type of content you want to have in your pricing table. if this is a case where you have a course, or maybe like course, a standard version and a VIP version, I would recommend something like this one. So I'm just going to drag this one out to show you. Kind of a standard 2-column pricing table. Or one like this one here is good as well. Okay, and then of course you are able to edit all of these different pieces and, you know, put in what's included in your program. You can remove some of the pieces that you don't need. You can grab the pricing and move it down if you would rather have it above the button. Let's center that. Okay, and I'm just going to click on Save Progress at this point. Kartra does not auto-save, so you want to make sure that you are clicking Save Progress along the way. Okay, and now let's say that, you know, now I've moved the price down, but I've got this weird spacing going on over here. This is, again, I talked about this in the basics of the page builder tutorial that I did, but if you toggle up here, there are sort of different levels to pages. So this is at the column level where it's like the next level out. And so if you hover here, you can see that this is a 2-column box. So what I'm going to do is go back to components. I'm going to drag this out down here so that it's under a 1 column. And then let's say I don't really like that icon anyway. I'm going to go back to columns and I'm just going to delete this chunk. Okay, so now we've got a cleaner look. We can change the button, make sure it's going to the proper place and all of that. Okay. Now, another thing that you may want to have is some sort of, you know, if you have a fast action bonus or anything that is time related, whenever your offer is expiring, you want to have some sort of countdown timer. Now, this is one of the really cool features of Kartra where you can do it innately within the system. Lots of other ones you might need to use like deadline funnel in order to accomplish this, but within Kartra you can do redirects, timers, and all sorts of stuff. So I'm just going to, if you go down here to components, countdowns, and you can select, you know, kind of the look and feel of the style that you would like. I'm just going to do this one. And I'm going to put it here in this section. So let's say this is your, you know, your introduction to your fast action bonus, or just the section where you're saying this is going to expire at some point. So we're going to edit it. And here we have a few different options that you can see here. So you can make it based on the time that they land on the page. So for example, if you have an evergreen funnel in place of some sort, then it can track per individual. And so once somebody lands on the page the first time, your evergreen offer is, you know, if they purchase within 24 hours or 10 minutes of landing on the page, you can set this up and it will be tied to that specific person's time of landing on your page. Okay, you can also do it based on a sequence subscription. And so this you would use with maybe, you know, for example, if you're doing a webinar and you have people registering for the webinar and then they're automatically pulled into a sequence, if you want that to be your anchor, like from a specific amount of time from the time that they enter that sequence where they registered for your webinar, then you could use that. List subscription, tag subscriptions, lots of different things that you can use here. So Okay, so I'm going to use the landing page fixed. So I'm going to say 1 day later at 23:29. Okay, and we can click apply. And then when you go to preview this, that's when it's going to show you that it's counting down. So when you preview it is when you can test that it is showing the proper number of days and hours and all of that. So if you wanted, you can also redirect it automatically after that timer reaches 0. And here it can, you can pick from your other pages. So if you have an alternate sales page, for example, if you're doing a special promo where you have, your product is on sale for $297 for that period of time, you can have Kartra automatically redirect to the regular $397 priced sales page once that person's or the specific date hits. Okay, and then here too, you can also add in automations. And then the other thing to note too is I'm just doing this for demonstration purposes. So this would be too small. You want to make sure you have one that's decently sized based on what else you have on the page. The timers also, sometimes if you pick a large one that's large enough for the desktop view, it looks weird on mobile, and it's kind of like, maybe like the seconds or the minutes section ends up on a second line because it gets squished. So you might want to just, double check that it's properly set up on mobile as well and properly displayed. All right, so another cool thing that you can do for, creating urgency on your page as well is the alert bar. So if you go down here and click on alert bar, this again is something that oftentimes people will have to go external to their page builder to set up, but here it is built right in. So I'm just going to pick one that I like, drag it here. Okay, and I need to move my bubble. So if you click, it's kind of hiding here. If you click on the right-hand side, here is where the settings little cog is, and click edit. Okay, it's gonna let you edit colors, everything that is on the bar. So I'm gonna make it red. We're gonna leave that. You can set it up where it delays. So for example, if you don't want it to appear as soon as somebody hits your sales page, maybe you want to make sure that this is only prompting people who are kind of lingering a little bit longer. You can put in like a 30-second delay, for example. Or you can hide it, for example, on mobile. Okay, so I'm going to click apply to just change the general settings there, and then each of these little components you'll be able to change as well. So here you can click on edit text to change the font here. So I'm just going to make this white. Okay, here's a secret tip about Kartra. Sometimes these things hide, and so what I'm going to do is click on edit again for this section. And I'm going to increase the padding to make it really big. And then I'm going to bring it back down later once I'm done editing. But this is just going to make things easier while I'm editing. Okay, so now we've got a giant bar, lots of space. I'm going to make this white. I want to make it bigger. I'm going to edit this timer as well. I'm going to pick a date of when my offer is going to expire. And I'm not going to select a redirect, but you can do that as well. So this is where you would want to make sure that these match up, whatever countdown timers you have on the page, that they're matching each other. I'm going to click apply. And I'm going to change this button as well. It's a little too small. Okay, so I'm going to make the button size giant size. Okay, we're going to do the font white and the background color of the button yellow. Okay, that's better. And so now I'm just going to pop back in to edit this, and I'm going to narrow that padding down to 20 again. All right, so we've got our pop-up bar here. I'm going to save again. Okay, and so that displays as somebody is scrolling down the page. It's always there. Make sure you obviously integrate the button with wherever you want the call to action to go. And then the last thing that I want to show you is, okay, so here if you go to help desk, this is something that you may want to include if you're doing like a live launch where you want people to be able to chat in. This is a really cool feature. So you can create a help desk. I don't have one set up in the system yet, but you would edit the help desk. You would come in here and you would create a new help desk. And I won't cover that piece in this particular tutorial, but you would select a help desk and then you can have a little bubble that comes up. And you would, when you set up your help desk, you would select it to be a chat feature. And so I will cover that in a different tutorial, but you can have the chat right there. And so that anytime somebody lands on your page, you can set it up so that it, says hello to them and they can chat in. You can even collect information through that. So for example, if it's kind of like a support ticket type of style that you select, they can enter their email address and their name before they start typing in their question or comment for you, and then that can automatically add them to your leads list, and you can follow up with those people to make sure that you're capturing them when they land on your page. So that's another really cool feature that is handy to use during a launch. Other than that, again, I encourage you to look through the sections and the components. And a really important thing to note before you start creating your sales page is to outline it elsewhere in like a document or whatever. Obviously, you're creating your copy outside of the system. I recommend never kind of sitting down to do both design and copy at the same time. People sometimes go in and kind of want to do it all at once, but it's hard for our brains to do those two very contrasting tasks at the same time. So it is much more efficient if you first go into like a Google Doc. Your copy is all in there, and you can even, I normally in a Google Doc, I'll put, lines in between different sections where I want to break it up and kind of have the intention of when I go to design the sales page, this is how I'm going to break up the text. You never want to have too much text all in one place. And then you can either delegate that to someone else super easily, or you can come in and make it faster for yourself when you're designing the page. And then because you've done that, once you're browsing the sections and the templates for sales pages, it'll be super easy to kind of visualize exactly which of those things you want to pick in order to make the page look the way that you intended it to look. You can even draw a wireframe beforehand. That just makes it that much easier once you get in and actually start building. Okay, so those are some of the key pieces and super cool features that you utilize in Kartra to have a higher converting sales page. There's also analytics and all sorts of stuff in the back that I won't get into now, but I'm just going to real quick show you completed sales page just as an example. The one we were working on here is a little bit of a mess right now, so I just want to show you that it is really easy when you're sitting down to work on this to make it clean, simple, and organized. Okay, so on here we've got, this is custom coded. It is still pretty easy to do. I actually have just a code snippet that we save for when we want to do something like that. And so everything is, consistent as far as branding and sizing goes. These are like this template. This testimonial section here is just a modified template that we pulled in from a pre-existing template in Kartra. This is an example of like the moving pieces that you can include, some animations. And frequently asked questions section as well. This is like a pre-built section that again was just modified for our branding and colors and all of that. But again, once you know what you want it to look like, it's really easy to come in and then translate that by pulling in different components, sections, or even just full page templates. So that is it for this tutorial. If you are planning a launch right now, be sure to check out the link below. I've got a super special thing for you for free that's going to help you save tons of time. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this tutorial, click like below and subscribe to our channel for more tips on scaling and simplifying your online business. If you know someone else who would benefit from this video or similar ones, share it with them as well. Thanks for watching.